Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about chapter 2 of the book Godfidence. So last week we talked about chapter 1, which is limiting negative self-talk. Today we're talking about the clarity tool. So the second step in Godfidence is gaining clarity on where we're going. Because once we've mastered the negative self-talk, then we need to know, we need to gain clarity. If we're not talking negatively to ourselves, what are we replacing it with? So there's a couple of different ways, I guess, philosophies on this. One is to do 7 whys. So, for example, I would say, I want to be a millionaire. Why? Because I want my kids to live a good life. Why? So you do that 7 times. And they say if your why doesn't make you cry, you didn't go deep enough. So that's one philosophy to gain clarity on where you're going, is to ask yourself why 7 times. And I've done it several times. It works. By the time you get down to the bottom, you're crying. You're really a basic, like what you needed as a child type, things. So the other philosophy, the one that I think works slightly better, is values. And what I like to do is I like to just brainstorm. I like to just get out a piece of paper and brainstorm all the values I can think of. Integrity, exercise, humility, charity, generosity, honesty, service, selflessness, just all those things. I get about 25 on at least 25, no more than 50. Most can come up with like between 25 and 40. Once you've done that, then you group them into groups of 5. And so you'd group them into groups of 5, most important. So the 5 values that you value the absolute most would be your tier 1 values. And then the next values from there would be tier 2, next values from there, tier 3, and so on and so forth. But what this does is it gives you an idea of, it gives you clarity in your mind of, hey, this is who I am. These are the things that I value the most. These are characteristics that I value the most in myself. So other than the 7, you can do 7 whys deep, and there's a lot of people and a lot of really great results that are related to going 7 levels deep. I am of the philosophy you could do that and values and you'd be in great shape. But to gain clarity, I found more value, no pun intended, in just listing out my values and then organizing them by tier. And these tiers are always changing. So the top 5 values that are in my tier 1 today could look different in a month. Maybe situations change. Maybe you change relationships, or you change jobs, or you have a family interaction that changes things. So they're kind of fluid. They're always kind of changing. So that worksheet is in the book Godfidence. If you haven't read it, you should. It's gotten a lot of pub lately. This isn't to sell a book. This is to help you. to help your mind, to help your mental health. The world is hard. The world is crazy. Life is hard. The middle class just continues to get squeezed by inflation, high prices. The wages aren't keeping up. And people are stressed. People are racking up credit card debt and living above their means. And I've been just as guilty of that in the past as anybody. But since I wrote the book, and just prior to writing the book, a few years prior, I got my act together and I wrote the book. And I wrote the book with worksheets at the end of each chapter to help you and to help somebody that you know that might need the help. Just to gain a little bit of clarity, just to acknowledge that, hey, I do say some cruel things to myself. So last week, that's what we talked about, is limiting the cruel things that we say to ourselves. This week, we're talking about gaining clarity. So next week, there's 7 steps total in the book that have worksheets. So we're going to cover one for the next 7 weeks. And then we'll kind of do a recap week 8 and we'll be all set. But today, we're working on gaining clarity. So brainstorm those values, group them by tier. If you want to do 7 levels of why, you can do that too. But understanding what you value and why you value it is probably the single best exercise that you can do for gaining clarity and getting mental health back on track or strengthened. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Thanks so much for your support, and we'll see you next week.